Hey, what is up, mortals? It's Kiki Cakes here. And before we get into today's video, there's something I'd like to say. I'd like to let you all know that we have a merch store. Some of the items in it are only available for a limited amount of time, so if you're interested, go into the description and check it out. Each purchase helps us make more content. Secondly, if you didn't know, only 25% of you guys are subscribed to us, so please hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Today we'll be covering a deep dive on Kokushibo from the anime and manga Kimetsu no Yaiba, also known as Demon Slayer. Kokushibo was one of the 12 Kizuki. The Kizuki were the 12 most powerful demons split between upper ranks and lower ranks, categorized in groups of 1 through 6. The power between the lowest of the upper ranks was said to be greater than the power of the highest of the lower ranks by several magnitudes. And the demon on the top of the upper moons, the most powerful demon, second only to Muzan, their creator, was Kokushibo. Kokushibo was a human samurai and demon slayer named Michikatsu who was turned into a demon by Muzan nearly 450 years from the start of the anime. As a demon, he looked very similar to when he was human. He was pale-skinned, tall, and had long and spiky hair he kept in a ponytail with 2 large bangs on the sides of his face. He bore a demon-slaying mark which formed itself as flame-like tattoos on the top left and bottom right parts of his face down to his neck. He wore a purple and black checker-patterned cloth and black pants tied with a white cloth and carried a sword at his waist that had eyes in even spaces along the blade and hilt. His most inhuman features were his 6 eyes, 2 in the normal position for humans and a set of eyes below and above. His eyes had red sclera and yellow irises, his middle set featuring the mark of upper rank 1. Before, when he had been human, he had bore only 1 set of eyes in their normal position with brown irises. As a human, Michikatsu was an outstanding swordsman. Even before becoming a demon slayer, he had been considered an accomplished swordsman before the age of 20. After being trained by Yoriichi, he was one of the select few to unlock a demon-slaying mark. Demon-slaying marks increased a demon slayer's speed, strength, and reflexes, allowing them to compete with and even surpass the power of normal demons. His breathing technique, the moon-breathing technique, was second only to Yoriichi's sun-breathing technique. The moon-breathing sword technique's greatest strength was its wide, chaotic size, and with each slice, countless crescent-like blades of various sizes and shapes would follow in its wake, making it almost impossible to block a slash without being cut. As a demon, Kokushibo gained enhanced strength, speed, and stamina. He also had extreme durability and regeneration abilities. Due to having a demon-slaying mark and breathing technique before his transformation, the effects of both his mark and state as a demon increased his strength by several fold, enough so that he had comfortably sat at the top of demonkind for the 400 or so years since becoming a demon. The demon-slaying mark normally came with a caveat that the human who unlocked the mark would die before turning 25. However, demons being immortal created a loophole, and for this reason, Kokushibo had centuries to hone his sword skills, allowing him to have at least 16 forms to his breathing technique when other demon-slaying techniques at most had 8 forms. All powerful demons had a skill known as a blood demon art. Kokushibo's was known as Flesh Sword, in which blades could erupt from any part of his skin or from his katana. This heightened the unpredictability of his slashing abilities and increased the range of his attacks, allowing him to cut down his opponent without even having to swing his blade. Before covering Kokushibo fully, we need to lay some groundwork. In the world of Demon Slayer, demons are humans who were converted after taking in the blood and flesh of Muzan, the original demon. Muzan was also once human, who had become immortal after receiving special treatment for his family's hereditary illness, which would have otherwise led to a short and painful death. Demons have an inherent desire to consume the flesh of humans and are often violent and cruel, lacking emotions like empathy and mercy. Humans banded together to form the Demon Slayer Corps, and the first leader of this corps was Yoriichi Sugikuni. Yoriichi had an older twin, a fellow demon slayer who later defected and joined Muzan. That human was Michikatsu Sugikuni, who upon his transformation was renamed Kokushibo. Kokushibo, previously named Michikatsu, was the oldest of 2 twins to a samurai. During the time they were born, twins were considered an ill omen. Due to being born second, and also due to being born with a natural flame birthmark, Michikatsu's younger brother Yoriichi was isolated from the rest of the family by their father, who would have killed the child had it not been for their mother's adamant defiance. Michikatsu had nothing but contempt and pity for Yoriichi, who was destined to be taken to a temple to be revered as a monk. This contempt was furthered by Michikatsu's observation of Yorichi's soft nature, observed when seeing Yorichi at his mother's left side almost every moment of the day. While Michikatsu held his little brother in contempt, he didn't hate him, seen when he carved a flute for his little twin, who had received nothing from their father. Seeing Yorichi's tender expression to receiving the simple gift confused and upset Michikatsu even more, increasing his feelings of contempt. These feelings came to an abrupt end when at the age of 7, Yorichi defeated a trained swordsman and retainer of his father, an almost impossible event made further outstanding given that Yorichi had never trained in swords before. Michikatsu's feelings of contempt were replaced with dread, for he surely knew that his father would send him to the temple instead due to his brother's talent. Michikatsu was then surprised when Yorichi snuck into his room for the first time. Yorichi told his older twin that their mother was dead and that due to their father's plans to have Michikatsu sent away, Yorichi would leave to the temple early. Yorichi stated he was doing this because becoming a samurai was his elder twin's dream and that he could not bear to stand in his way. Michikatsu's feelings of contempt and later dread and confusion were replaced with hatred. A hatred that doubled as Yorichi revealed that he kept the flute, stating that he would treasure it forever as it reminded him of his elder brother. Michikatsu later found out that his mother had been sick for a long time, and what he had thought was his brother being coddled by his mother was the opposite, with Yorichi supporting his mother. Michikatsu grew up to take over as a samurai over his father and had eventually written off his brother as dead. During this time, he stated that his life was boring but peaceful. This all changed when his men were killed by a demon. Before the demon could kill Michikatsu, his younger twin Yorichi intervened, slaying the demon with ease. Upon meeting his brother, Michikatsu's feelings of contempt, dread, confusion, and hatred flared back up. Michikatsu learned from his brother that demons existed in the world, but that his brother had formed a group of like-minded people to stand together to slay them and protect humans. With little goading, Michikatsu left his wife, left his children, and left his home to join his brother and gain his power and skill. Before we get back into the dive, I would like to say that in case you guys didn't know, we are a secondary channel to our main channel, We the Celestials. We the Celestials is full of fun what-if stories. If you have the sugar tooth for great storytelling, please give that channel a visit as well. If you're interested in the content we share with all channels, make sure you click the icon in the top right corner or check the description below for a link to the channel. Now with that out of the way, let's get back into the dive. As the group of demon slayers grew in size and skill, a select few, Michikatsu included, gained tattoo-like marks that allowed them to see the world when fighting similarly to Yorichi. Despite their skills, none were able to catch up to Yorichi, who had to change his breathing and sword styles to match the dispositions of each demon slayer. Michikatsu likely came the closest to his younger twin's skill, his breathing technique, the moon breathing, a complementary yet lesser technique when compared to Yorichi's sun breathing. Michikatsu's second great disappointment was in learning that without fail, everyone who had unlocked their demon slaying mark had not lived past the age of 25. Michikatsu confronted his brother, questioning if he was disappointed that no one in their immediate generation was capable of surpassing them. Yorichi replied that he wasn't sad at all and was rather looking forward to the skills of the future generations. This further confused and angered Michikatsu, and his repressed feelings came to a head when Muzan offered Michikatsu immortality by turning into a demon. Michikatsu agreed almost immediately, transforming into Muzan's most powerful demon. The two then worked tirelessly to slay the rest of the demon slayers. Michikatsu had been greatly surprised when after several decades he met his little twin Yorichi, now living to old age. Yorichi, the one who had stood ahead of all the other demon slayers, had again showed his superiority in surpassing the curse, a young death, all with the demon slaying mark were cursed with. Michikatsu, now known as Kokushibo, despite being a demon and a skilled swordsman, was almost killed by Yorichi. The only thing saving him was Yorichi finally succumbing to old age, dying where he stood. Nearly 400 years later, Kokushibo joined Muzan in an all-out attack on the Demon Slayer Corps, their goal being the blood of Nezuko, a demon who had gained dominion over the sun, which had been Muzan's only real weakness. In the manga, we first meet Kokushibo when he is summoned to meeting with all the upper-ranked demons to discuss the death of Gyotaro, another high-ranked demon. In the meeting, he spoke with a cordial tone to Muzan and the other demons. During the meeting, two demons, Akaza and Doma, get into a slight altercation. Kokushibo punishes the offending demon and reminds him of the rules, displaying enough power to subdue both the second and third rank Kizuki. After the death of another upper-rank demon, Muzan ordered the high-ranking demons to gather together and to assist him in taking Nezuko. He, alongside the other demons, are separated from their Lord Muzan through the use of another upper rank's blood demon art, turning the Demon Slayer Corps headquarters into an infinite maze, separating the demons from each other and allowing the Slayers to fight them in groups. Kokushibo is seen again just after the death of the upper rank demon Akaza. Sensing the demon's death, Kokushibo mocked Akaza for how weak he was. Sometime later, we get to see Kokushibo's first real battle against Muichiro Tokito. Muichiro is one of the 9 pillars, the current generation's most powerful demon slayers. Kokushibo fights him with little effort, nearly killing him at the beginning of their battle. After Muichiro calms himself, he can fight Kokushibo with greater skill and strength. The former's demon-slaying marks appear. Kokushibo compliments Muichiro's ability, but states it is due to Muichiro being tied to Kokushibo's bloodline. After some more combat, Kokushibo cuts off Muichiro's arm. Muichiro quickly tightens his arm to stop the bleeding, which greatly impresses Kokushibo. Kokushibo pins Muichiro to a wall with the pillar's blade, offering to turn him into a demon and promising that doing so would restore his arm. Kokushibo is interrupted by the demon slayer Genya, who shoots at the demon. Kokushibo easily avoids the gunshot and appears behind the demon slayer, bisecting him in half and cutting off both arms. As Kokushibo observes Genya's prone form, he surmises that Genya is the one who had been going around consuming demons to gain strength, and that the demon had encountered a similar demon slayer 300 years ago who had died from being bisected. He attempts to behead Genya, but is stopped by Sanemi, the Wind Pillar, and Genya's older brother. After a somewhat heartfelt reunion between brothers, Kokushibo, who had observed their exchange, remarks that them being brothers and demon slayers brought back memories. Sanemi and Kokushibo begin their duel. Sanemi shows greater skill than Muichiro, enough to take Kokushibo aback somewhat, but the battle begins to turn to Kokushibo's favor as he states that he had experience fighting a similarly strong Wind Pillar. Kokushibo manages to slice Sanemi in the stomach, but is slowed as he smells Sanemi's blood, which has an intoxicating effect on demons. Kokushibo is slowed down enough that Sanemi can stop his bleeding and continue fighting. Even while slightly impaired, Kokushibo is dominating their battle and expresses happiness in being able to fight such a skilled swordsman. The demon moves to kill Sanemi, but is interrupted by the intervention of Gyome, the Stone Pillar, and the most powerful member of the Demon Slayer Corps of the current generation. Kokushibo was extremely impressed with Gyome's peak physical form and ability and fought with greater ferocity than he had with Sanemi, impressed that Gyome was keeping up with his current skill level, especially given that the Stone Pillar was blind. Following this short but intense battle, Gyome revealed that he had unlocked a demon-slaying mark, in the form of stone-cracked tattoo-like marks over his forearms. Kokushibo revealed that the marks he had on his forehead and neck were also a demon slayer mark, and he expresses sympathy for Gyome, stating that demon slayers cursed with the mark would never live past 25. But that since Gyome unlocked his mark at 27 years of age, he would likely die before the night ended. The two argued on what it meant to be a demon slayer, and Kokushibo made an offer to Gyome, the same offer he made to Muichiro, the chance to become a demon. Gyome rejects the offer swiftly and vehemently, insulting Kokushibo for his short-sighted and cowardly outlook on life. He then says something that truly gets on the demon's nerves, that there was at least one person who lived past 25 while bearing the mark. Kokushibo is visibly unnerved by the statement and begins to fight again. After recovering somewhat, Sanemi rejoins the battle, unlocking his Demon Slayer mark. Kokushibo remarks that the two pillars' amazing coordination. As the fight continues, the pillars begin being able to slice into Kokushibo. Kokushibo begins to fight seriously, angrily stating, "You merely shredded my kimono. Not even enough to kill an infant." As the battle progressed, Muichiro managed to free himself, and with the little energy he had left, he helped Genya reattach his body and feeds the Demon Eater a clump of Kokushibo's hair. Genya gains power when he consumes parts of demons, and he had already consumed a part of Doma before coming to this battle. As Genya consumes the bit of hair, he begins to hear Muzan in his head. Muzan was asking if Kokushibo had slain the demon slayers yet, and as Kokushibo had known, Genya learned that Muzan had not yet been able to put himself back together from his last confrontation. Kokushibo's attacks begin to increase in both intensity and frequency, severing 2 of Sanemi's fingers and leaving several cuts of various lengths on both Sanemi and Gyome. The 2 pillars were forced to be fully defensive under the intensity of Kokushibo's onslaught. Kokushibo went after Sanemi, the weaker of the 2, and would have cut him down if not for Muichiro rejoining the battle, saving him. Genya, who had been hiding and recovering, recalls Tanjiro's statement about being the weakest person in a battle. Inspired by this, he eats a bit of Kokushibo's blade and fully unlocks his blood demon art. Kokushibo is meanwhile fighting the 3 pillars, being so skilled that even in a 3-on-1 fight he is winning. But in an unexpected turn of events, Gyome cuts off Kokushibo's right arm while Muichiro stabs him through the torso, and Genya unleashes a barrage of seeking bullets. The bullets erupt into tree-like constructs that trap Kokushibo, leaving him nearly immobile. The sensation reminds Kokushibo of his last encounter with his little brother, Yoriichi. Enraged by the thought of being defeated, blades sprout from the demon's body, slashing Muichiro in half by the waist and cutting Genya in half vertically. Despite bleeding out, Muichiro's blade turns red, searing Kokushibo's organs. Genya, despite feeling his life slip away, uses another blood demon art, rooting another tree in Kokushibo's back and draining his blood through it. In this space, Gyome attacks from above and Sanemi attacks from below, decapitating Kokushibo. Before his head is cleaved, Kokushibo marvels at how the demon slayers who came after his generation have indeed risen to surpass him. But this wonder is replaced with rage. In defiance of his impending death, he forces himself to regrow his head, and his blood demon art begins to go crazy, cutting everything and everyone around him and driving them back. He is triumphant at first until he sees himself in the reflection of Sanemi's blade. His appearance, now ugly and monstrous, was so warped from his original motivation to become the strongest samurai in the country that he froze in shock. In that lapse of judgment, Gyome was able to crush his regenerated head. As he attempted to regenerate, his flesh began to crumble. A combination of Genya and Muichiro's dying attacks prevented his body from healing. While his life flashed before him, he realized that he only wanted to be like Yoriichi, but that in his quest for power, he had abandoned everything and achieved nothing, killing his only blood relative, betraying the code of samurai, and leaving his humanity. As his body crumbled away, the only remains were his tattered clothes and a satchel holding the sliced up flute he had made for his little brother when they were children. Throughout the manga, we see Kokushibo hold himself in a reserved but polite nature, not letting most of his thoughts and feelings surface. This part of his personality hid a vindictive nature born from feelings of inadequacy when compared to his little brother. Despite those feelings, Kokushibo also believed himself superior to others, demonstrated when he stated that he was impressed with Muichiro's skill, but that the majority of his talent came from his bloodline. As the fight between Kokushibo, the 3 pillars, and Genya continued, we saw more and more of Kokushibo's personality unravel, as he began to fight more seriously and began to insult and belittle the demon slayers for not leaving lasting blows, despite commending their skills merely minutes ago. When Kokushibo begins to lose in earnest, he loses his calm demeanor fully, showing that like almost all other demons, he's become a monster. Thank you all for watching the video. Now there are a few more things I'd like to go over before the video ends. On behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank the writer for this video as well as the editors for this video. Their details will be in the description. If you're a voice actor, editor, or writer, or you're interested in becoming one of those, go to the Discord that's in the description of this video and hit up the head of one of those areas. We're always looking for members to join us. That's it from us for today's video, so thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you're interested, and hit that like button if you liked the video. Until next time, peace out mortals, have an amazing day!